Hey guys, in this video we're going to do a 3-in-1 review of the business books I most recommend. So people think because I have a small business, I know what I'm doing. Leaving aside that point, they sometimes ask me, what books have you read, Matt? Especially since I am also a bookseller. And I've read them all and listened to almost none of them. So I think the first thing is I wanted to feature the books that I seem to have actually listened to and put into effect. Because unlike most books, I don't want you to read a bunch of business books. They're really boring. And if you're reading them and you're reading hundreds of them and not implementing them, you got to look at why you're not implementing those. And I know of what I speak. But there are 3 kind of business type books that I recommend. We have 1 in stock. The other 2 are available on Amazon. And one of them is available as a very nice free audiobook on YouTube as well as a PDF. So I will get to which one of those books it is. But first of all, the first book I wanted to highlight was a book that took me 10 years to understand, which is The E-Myth Revisited by Michael Gerber. This is a very interesting book because it has a very strong narrative case study about a small business owner who's struggling despite having incredible, in this case, bakery. It's all about pies. The business owner makes pies and has always dreamed of pies. And the author and the narrator of this story is the author, presumably Michael Gerber, as he coaches her through the, improving her business. I think the 3 things that there's an idea that there's an administrative, a marketing, business development, and then a financial sector, 2 of which you probably know nothing about, which is sales and finance. I surely didn't, not to the level I needed to, but I did know something about book selling. You might know something about being an accountant or what have you, whatever business you've decided that was based on another key concept, that you went into a business where you were working for 20 years, 30 years. So if you were a plumber, one day the plumber, the boss, pissed you off one too many times, so you decided to go start a plumbing service, and then you realize the skills of running a plumbing service have nothing to do with being a plumber, which is certainly something I would have known without being a part of the E-Myth. The first few pages of this one really grab you. So I would definitely recommend this. I've also seen this recommended by many, many different entrepreneurs as the way to really build a turnkey system like you dreamed of the first day you dreamed of starting your business. The second one is one I wouldn't recommend if you don't want to have your worldview messed with, and it's Anti-Fragile by Nassim Taleb. This is an especially powerful book in this age of rapid change. And what's cool about this book, I want to talk about actually some of the structure of it, based on what Nassim Taleb says. But it's basically a story about risk. And I know that sounds boring, but what he really does is create a book that can be read all the way through, and also chapter by chapter, just flipping through. He really kept in mind and built a structure. I mean, he's a genius. I'm not sure exactly how he did it, but I want to say that works. You can read this book at the beginning, and you can pop it in the middle. So this is another one, has a strong narrative, and the length of my review is going to be just about this narrative of Fat Tony and Nero Flowers, who are the only 2 people in New York City who can sit down and actually have lunch with each other. One is Nero, who was a philosopher. It's implied he was a trader based on Thales of Greece, who was a penniless. Thales was a penniless philosopher in Greece, and he was criticized for being lazy, and he was challenged to actually do something with his wisdom. So he bought an option on every wine press for the next season, because he was able to predict that the weather was going to be very good for grapes. So he bought an option on every wine press in Greece, and then when there was a bumper crop, which he had predicted through his philosophical knowledge, in this case the weather, he was able to cash in. Well, it's implied that this Nero Flowers, who's a composite character created by Nassim Taleb. So yeah, this is a nonfiction book with a whole fictional part in it. And then, of course, Fat Tony, who is more of a street-type businessman. And these two characters are so memorable in business literature. You know, as I said, you don't even have to read all of this book. You can just read that part. So, and finally, 0 to 1 by Peter Thiel, which is kind of a recent entrance to me, but it really talks about why building a unique idea. So the 0 in 0 to 1 is that your idea, your business was not there until it was the first one. And this doesn't have to be like completely crazy. Like having a pizzeria that decides it's also going to deliver pizza is the kind of 0 to 1 idea that we can talk about. And sometimes you can combine those as well. Combine two old ideas into one. So, but what Thiel does say is that if you're going to demand to be in a crowded market, I like to use the real estate market, because people sometimes like to be real estate agents at the beginning at the top. Like, while it may seem like real estate agents are making a lot of money, actually only about 7% of all the real estate agents make 93% of the sales, according to the Realtor Board. So it's a similar idea. When you are in a crowded field, you actually compete away all the profits. So while I am an Amazon seller, I'm always looking to innovate, going from 0 to 1, even in small ways, even in parts of the processes. And if you have no idea what I'm talking about any of these 3 books, that's on purpose. You should read them, but just go in with an open heart that I'm actually going to learn and take and build something. Because I really don't want you to read these if this is like the 159th book that you've read. It's just not worth your time. You should read some good fiction. Bye.